what we're going to be looking at right here is more of a deep water scenario. I mean, obviously we got some shallow water here, but it moves out there into deeper channels. And obviously at this point of time, there's zero surface activity, the light's high, it's a blue sky, and the fish are going to be pretty much more inclined to be somewhere near close to the bed of the river. And that by no means eliminates the fact that we can fish with small midge fly patterns, because often as not it can be some of the most productive ways to catch those fish. However, in order to effectively fish those flies, we have to orientate and build a leader system that is suitable to do so. And typically my standard setup is this: from the fly line, a straight level butt section of clear amnesia, either 15 or 20 pound, around about 4 feet, somewhere in that ballpark is a good mean average. The one downside of a tapered leader is, of course, it's thick to thin, but it takes more weight as it starts to sink to drag the increasingly thicker diameter of line down. By using a continuous longer length of 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9 feet of 5x, or in some cases 6x line, relative to the size of the flies and the wariness of the fish, you eliminate the addition of excessive amounts of weight, particularly when you use fluorocarbon line. Okay, we're going to form a small loop. Just leave it open like that, small amount. And I'm going to use 5x here because I'm generally going to fish in this kind of water with flies anywhere from size 14, 16, 18, which are representative flies of Midge Midge Nymphs. Okay, so take the end of your 5x tippet and put it through that overturned knot loop, and then draw it taut like that. Okay, now above it we're going to tie one of 2 knots. Typically I use my own Davy knot, or you can use the same knot system that we use to tie the butt section of the leader to the fly line. Very simply, here's our tag. We're going to take the tag over the fly line and the tag itself, turn it around 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. If you want to go 4, that's fine. It doesn't make a lot of difference. It doesn't really add any greater strength to the knot, but there you go. And we draw that taut like this. See that? Until we've got that nice and tensioned up to the fly line. Sorry, to the leader system. And all we do is that we just slide that down to the knot. Now make sure that you've got this knot drawn tight. And the easiest way to do that is get a pair of hemostats and pull it tight like that. And I'm going to run through with the system with 5x, and I'm going to build it up this way. Okay, now I know this rod is 10 feet in length, and I know that I want somewhere in the region of at least 6 feet from my indicator to my stop knot. My stop knot is the point where I tie an additional section of line on, but the stop knot itself also adds a means whereby when I put additional weight on, it cannot slide down towards the flies. And there's a standard way I build my systems, and I'll demonstrate that to you. We're going to cut this line, and we're going to take off another section of line, approximately about 3 feet at this point in time, and take that from there. And we're going to join that with a surgeon's knot, 3 turns at this point. 1 turn, 2 turn. You form the loop or the surgeon's knot. You've got everything kind of nice and equal. You just moisten it and very, very slowly draw it together so all of the upper and lower tags of line come together to form a nice neat knot. If you've got something that looks a little irregular there, don't settle for it. It could cost you a good fish. Cut it out, just tie it again. Now cut off those tags because we're not going to use those for any purpose whatsoever. Now, from here, approximately 9 inches, we're going to add a dropper. Now, I pulled off enough line to enable me to cut from this line a short section of about 5-6 inches. And I'm going to come back to that position approximately, 8-9 inches away from that stop knot. Same means that we tied the above knot. 3-turn surgeon's knot. 1 turn, 2 turn, 3 turns. Now I'll show you another little trick too. Watch very carefully. You see I've got this looper line here and where it's joined together. Now actually I don't have too much line here to show you how to move it up, but if you want to increase the length of this, you can actually rotate that up. If I actually rotate this back in the opposing direction, see that? It increases the length of the line above. I already had it pretty short anyway, so, and I can't do anything to increase the length of the line there, but either way, we go in the reverse situation. So I roll the knot up, see that? And what it does, it gives me a little more length on the dropper till I've got to that point where we're just gonna very, very gently tension it in, and we've got 2 sections of line coming from it. The upper is going to be eliminated, and the one below is what we're going to use to tie our dropper fly on. Okay, and if you've got a dropper length somewhere in the region of about 4 inches, 5 inches, that suits me fine. Personally, I don't use the system where you tie one fly directly to the other, and it's a technique I've used all my life as far as wet fly fishing is concerned, i.e. that is a detached dropper. And the reason I do it is because A, the fly has more natural animation in the water, and bear in mind that when we're fishing with a nymph rig, the system is essentially doing this. The indicator is here and it's tracking downstream like that. So if our fly is suspended there below on that dropper, it has got far more freedom of movement. Either way, we're going to take this indicator, I'm going to put my blade, excuse me, the blade of my scissors through the little O-ring, and very gently I'm just going to pull this line back through the O-ring like that. Now you've got to do it carefully, you're going to cut the line. All I'm doing is just making a very, very gentle grip to it. And what you do to secure that is simply this. You just form a loop and bring that over the top of the indicator, lock the indicator in place. And the reasons why I prefer yarn indicators is, first and foremost, they sit high and they perk on the surface of the water, and you don't want a big fat ugly indicator, because I'll tell you, you ain't gonna see half of the takes that otherwise you would get and obviously be able to respond to possibly hook those fish. Either way, okay, so what we're going to do now is we're just going to trim this indicator down. It's very simple, just cut it off like that. There we go. I know pretty much looking at this water that a 1.5 and a 2mm tungsten bead for the 2 flies, so to all intents and purposes look at it as 3.5 in tungsten beads, is going to get these 2 flies, which I'm going to attach to this system close to the bed of the river. And the 2 flies I'm going to choose are a DW Marabou bloodworm midge, or blood midge, call it what you will, it's pretty much the same thing. And the other one I'm going to add is a size 16 black whitetail midge. And sometimes in the higher water, and I need a larger fly, and the reason you use the larger fly is purely because of visibility to the fish. You know, the faster the water is, the quicker the fish has to make the decision to take that fly, natural and or otherwise. And a larger fly, of course, gives a greater visibility to those fish in faster water, and the odds are they're more likely to see it, and the consequences of that are you're more likely to catch them. See how high that indicator perks on the surface? You can read it real well at extreme range, right there on the edge of that bank. If it slows down or it twitches or whatever else, I'm going to react to it, because it could be a fish. It may be the bed of the river. I don't know that, because I can't see out there. But I'm still going to react to it. Okay, I tend to like things more directly across stream. So we're going to fetch that up. Back across stream again. Okay, we'll watch very gently what's going on. Rod tip down. Just kind of wait till the wind just drops a touch, because it generally will. You know, mending really is subtle. It should be a very subtle thing, and it's not a question of just throwing these big slack line loops up on the surface. And you know, you build too much slack line inevitably when you do that, and also you likely spook fish. When I make a mend to my line, I just assume that we're a little ways downstream here. You know, I'm going to drop the rod tip down close to the water, and I'm going to very gently follow the contour of the line like that and move it upstream. Let me show you something else too. We just assume that we've got kind of this scenario out in the water, okay? I'm not just going to pick that up in one go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the rod tip down, I'm going to follow the contour of the line like that, and then make that mend and straighten the line out. We want to feed some line out. So we've got our slack line here. We allow slack line to build up between the guide and the hand right here. Just kick that out. Don't do it too much at a time, just in small increments. That's all you need to do. Let's just go again. All right, there's another section going out. What I'm doing is I'm watching two things. I'm watching the indicator, and I'm watching the relative position of that fly line as that drift proceeds further downstream. Let me feed a little more if I want. Yep. You don't want to get too far away anyway. It really serves no purpose, because when you're drift fishing, you're going to get there anyway. So why end up 30 yards downstream and have to drag everything back when you're going to drift down there with a shorter line in the first place? It serves no purpose. Okay, let's fetch this back. I always try to look at it from this perspective, that I want a straight line more or less as possible off the rod tip to the indicator. What I mean by a straight line, I don't mean directly straight off the rod like this. It doesn't matter whether it's upstream, across stream, or slightly down, but essentially it's a straighter line position to that indicator, because I know that it affords two things. First of all, it easier means a method of control, and secondly, a more efficient, quicker hook set. I'm always looking at that. Well, well, well. Well, well, well. Well, we got a little fish here. That fish took the marabou bloodworm, which is a pretty good damn representation anyway, and fished on the dropper. Even with all that garbage and crap in that river, you know, those fish, quite amazing really, you know, they still manage to find those little tiny flies. A lot of this garbage coming down, you know, those old big brown trout, they get looking around, you know, because them old sculpins get to jerking out underneath the rocks and stuff, and it never ceases to surprise me at times. You know, you might catch a fairly good sized average rainbow, you're 12, 14, 15 inch fish, and before you know where you are, there's a big brown got hold of it. Now you ain't never really going to get them in the net. In fact, I've never did that, but I've had them hang on for a good period of time. There we go. It's always been a good fly for me, that over many years. Go on, guys. And again, I have to emphasize to you guys, it's fished on that dropper, and that gives that fly that much more animation in the water. Actually, he took the whitetail midge. You know, that's absolutely one of my top flies, at least in the midge category. Anyway, come on now. Let me get you up here now. There we go. There we go. Well, he didn't take the red midge, as I saw that dance there. He took the whitetail. Right there in the upper part of his mouth. Nice fish. Thank you, Mr. Brown. As they say, perseverance pays off. Nice. Pleased about that, because that was a nice looking trout.